Welcome into the Bobby Carpenter Show. We got you a big weekend planned for you. We've got a little bit of Derby Day on Saturday. We got Ohio State's graduation slugs. There's a lot of stuff that's going on back and forth. Are you into it? Are you into the Derby? Our guy AJ right now, he's hosting Pat McAfee. Then he's heading down to the Oaks with his guy Aaron Rodgers. Going to do some of that. But are you a fan of the Derby and everything that comes with it?
No.
No. You don't like Derby
mean,
times? You don't like
no.
mint juleps? You don't like getting dressed up, putting fancy hats on and walking around?
I mean, if they allow you just to walk out there with some boots and some Wranglers or,
Well, if you're a horse trainer, I think if you're one of the dudes that's maybe shoveling the manure or training the horse down below, you can definitely dress like that. I think that's.
I don't know. It's like a minute and a half, right? It's like the whole build up and everybody's all.
Minutes.
What are they all? They're just all just over there fluffing each other. I'm like, I'm good. I don't want to go down there. You guys gotta understand. I don't like being around a lot of people, and then you're gonna get that kind of people and gussing them up. Like, I'm too much of a hillbilly to be in there, man. It'd just be awkward. Maybe if I could go down there with like a shirt suit, one of those, tuxedo shirts, that'd be sweet. Tucked into some jeans, that might be appropriate. I would do it. And if somebody paid for it, I would go. I'm always game to do it try it out one time, Bob. But it's not something I know. Don't go there. Don't go there. Bob.
So you said your words. I'm always a fan to try it one time. You said you try anything once, so I just wanted to make sure.
Not everything, just some things.
Not everything. Maybe try anything once is maybe more appropriate. But you don't get into you're going to Derby. I think the thing is, it's the sport of kings. But if I'm not mistaken, like Bob Baffert goes out there looking like Ashley Schaefer off of Eastbound and Down, Will Ferrell's character. He's got like the sweet, big Ric Flair, blonde hair, sunglasses. He's got like a sweet sport coat on. But if I'm not mistaken, a lot of times those guys are wearing like jeans with their sport coat. I mean, they're farmers. Like at the end of it, man, these dudes are training horses like it's the Kentucky Derby, and they're going to handle all that stuff appropriate. Like that's how they operate. So they are jeans and boots kind of guy.
I just have a hard thing with like those type of one-off events and the costs associated with them. And Bob, you know this, man, in the midst of the chaos of my life and your life, your life is crazy. You got 4 kids. Like mine are like on the way out, 100 lost. They lost last night in the regional semifinal. They're done. Really good ball club they played. And it's like, I have no time for even myself. Like my time is working out, and I enjoy that. If it was to like, hey, I'm going to spend a weekend and go down there and do this, like I'd rather take my wife to Jamaica, probably pay less, and like go sit on a beach and have some, spicy marks. That to me is
you have mint juleps, and you can get Steph dressed up and wear a big hat, dude. Like, I got a great story for you because I've never been.
Give it to me.
I've never been.
I might go. If we did like a you, me, AJ deal and went down to the Derby and somebody could show me how to experience the Derby the proper way.
Someone to groom you?
Not necessarily groom me, Bob, right? But like just to say this is how it is done and how you can enjoy it. We know that you will never enjoy it this way because you don't have the financial means to do so.
Not yet. Listen, hold up. Don't put yourself in a box. You don't have the financial means yet. I always tell people.
No. Nah, it's also this. If I ever did have the financial means, it's kind of like, there's aspirational things. I do like the Rolex on a Redneck song because it talks about side hustling and I am a redneck but I would also never want a Rolex. Like my truck's paid off. Like paint don't pay. That's a fact. So I like to keep the stuff I got.
Paint don't pay. What does that mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like why do people just keep buying new trucks all the time? Like I don't need a new truck. I got to plug my phone in with the Apple CarPlay. I just don't want a truck payment. I'd rather spend that money somewhere else. You know what I mean? I'd rather save that stuff. I just have a different perspective as to the things I value as I've gotten older. And if I am going to spend anything on myself, it's going to be on firearms and archery. And maybe weight equipment. Because I did buy I saw this thing on the IG. It was a different kind of like portable neck thing. I'm like, dude, I can stick this in my carry-on and I could just train neck all the time. And then there's this sweet forearm deal. I saw this guy's forearms and they were just like veined up. Yeah. I'm like, damn, put that in the cart. And they were together, same company, American made, boom. charge it to win it. And I got like, I'll spend my money on that. Like, that's where I like to spend my disposable rat hole income.
So like having like jacked and like veiny forearms is just as much a function of having like a low level of subcutaneous fat than it is anything else. Like,
I know, but it looks sweet. Like I get them.
yeah.
Remember, I used to have baloney skin when I was like super fat, Bob.
Yeah,
I
because you're
still
not
think
as
I got
fat
the fat.
anymore. But
Yeah.
here's the thing. So I've never been to the Derby. AJ goes every year. He had to host for Pat today. Today is Pat McAfee's 38th birthday. So big happy
Oh,
birthday.
nice.
Yeah,
Happy
big
birthday,
happy birthday
Pat.
to our guy Pat. AJ's filling in for him. And then he's going to go down. So he's not doing the running of the Oaks, which everyone says is like the best part of the Derby. If you ever go and you can do something that's sweet, then the parties that night, which are really big. And I probably should have went when I had an opportunity to go to that like 7 or 8 years ago. Never did. Never wanted to take off work, and now I kind of regret it. So it's like you take advantage when the opportunities come up. Almost had a chance to go this year, and it kind of fell through at the end. So AJ is going to head down tonight. My wife Courtney's been one time, and we've been to Keeneland, which Keeneland's like it's probably better. It's better than Churchill Downs on the whole because like they run all fall. And my wife's one of her best friends. She went to Lexington down there to UK, so they got all the ties and the connections. Lexington's a cool town, college town, but nice. So we went down there for that one time. That was a lot of fun. So my wife Court went down to the Derby when she was in college. I'm guessing probably sophomore, maybe junior years before we met. And she went down there and they bust down with their sorority, went there. They're at like infield passes. Of course, like a lot of times it just rains the whole time.
Yeah.
So, they were getting off and they got all dressed, gussied up and looking good. And, it's a bunch of like 20-year-old girls that are pretty good looking. I always try to tell my wife, she always undersells her beauty. I was like, I'd like to think that I married someone that's more attractive than me. So like, let's not try to, hide this. Like, let's let it out. All right. And this is like a prime example of that story. So their friends are all walking to the infield. I think her and one of her good friends had to go to the bathroom or something. They end up getting separated from the group before they get into the infield. And I think it's sprinkling, and it ends up raining all day. So while they're like walking, maybe getting a drink, they get stopped. And I don't know if they kind of knew somebody from someone's hometown or just some random guy starts talking to them. I got to get some more details on this story. But Court brought it up the other day, and she's like, yeah, they end up making their way up to like the millionaires row, and they're in a suite up there with some folks. This is like probably 2000, maybe 2001, I'm guessing. Maybe
No,
02.
no. She probably, that was probably,
Maybe 2002.
She's a year older than you, like 02, 03.
No, she's two grades ahead of me. So maybe 2002.
She a cougar.
2003. So, and she has a picture. I've seen her and her friend with Evander Holyfield. So like Evander Holyfield's in the box. Like this is like 5 to 7 years after him being heavyweight champion of the world. So he's still a really big deal. I can only imagine. She's like, oh yeah, we ate, we drank, we had a great time. Derby was awesome because they're undercover. They had a blast. So afterwards they go back down, go to meet their friends. Their friends look like Tommy Boy, Chris Farley when he gets douched with mud. Hey, Chuck, that doesn't smell like mud. They're all dirty, gross. Their shoes are ruined, mud everywhere. So soggy. It's like up to their calves. And so she's just feeling great and feeling good. Yeah. And everyone's like, where were you at? And this is where we were, hanging out with Evander up there in the suite. And so I go, that's the way to do it. I don't mind slumming it in the infield. I'll do that stuff. But at this point, I'm getting really old. I need a place, and I'm just kind of lazy to be able to get a drink and to be able to go to the bathroom. And if I have those two things, then I feel pretty good about life. So, but I do need those two things with that. And so that's, you got the Derby. And I was talking to some of the guys at Ohio State today about this. And, the big thing, you go with your friends, you have a good time, and it's nice. And so the thing, when I told guys in Dallas and other places that I have never been, people couldn't imagine that I wasn't there because it's only like 4.5 hours away. Hell, my brother lived in Louisville and coached in Louisville for 3 years, and I still never went down and went with him. And that was when he had like a lot of connects and everything to be able to get in there. And in the chat, Emily's saying that I'm high class. Listen, I'm not high class. I'm just lazy. Like I can go drink and have fun and hang out anywhere. Like it's just a function as I've gotten older. I just don't have the energy to be able to do it and grind now. And mostly because my wife thinks I'm an idiot and I act like an a-hole. So if I go down there, I'm going to be getting wild and getting crazy. So that's the difference between, 40, almost 42-year-old Bob and college Bob is that right there. And Schlegs, you're 44-year-old Schlegs, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, listen, here's the thing. Like me, I tell you what, one of my greatest experiences, I remember I was at the Air Force Academy. We drove up to Laramie, Wyoming for Frontier Days.
Oh
And
yeah.
and when we drove up, like I had my truck up there kind of illegally.
You mean
And
kind of illegally?
what meaning like you're not allowed to have one on campus.
Yeah.
And I did because like I would leave campus to go like literally take care of my body. Like I didn't drive anywhere else. Like I drove off campus to get a Chipotle, try to feed my body
The
and like
Asian
get my body
spas,
right.
happy ending
Anyways,
spas.
no, it wasn't like that. I mean, this is
Orchids of, I think
2004.
Robert Kraft would
Anyway,
go there. Called
stop.
Orchids of
Here's
Asia.
what we did. We filled up. We went over to like the beer barn place right off the deal, and we drove up to Laramie, Wyoming, and we literally like we filled the entire truck bed of my truck. I only had a single cab Chevy. We filled up the entire truck bed with beer. It was amazing. Like, you know, I don't know if it was Busch Light or Keystone or whatever. The entire truck bed. It was like we were kind of proud of it because we all put our little money together and we filled it up. And there's those three guys like sandwiched in this thing like sardines. Drove up. We had another couple of day woos that they rented at the academy. We drove up there Frontier Days, and we're out there and it's like just watching the rodeo, going out to the truck, drinking beer, watching rodeo stuff. Travis Tritt played that night.
Ooh.
On the and like on the stadium floor Frontier Days, just out there dancing, having a good time. Buck, I don't remember. I think I ended up naked somewhere, like in the.
That was the story where you woke up naked outside.
That was probably like three stories that tied together that were all kind of like that, but it was amazing. I really like that. Like there's a Frontier. What's the thing? Country concert out there in Laramie. I went there one time. That was great. I like those kind of events. Like horse racing. I don't really want to watch a horse. I'd rather watch like really badass country music. You know, I think it's just everybody's taste. You know, I'd go one time though, Bob. I'd go one time with you. And I dress up. Do I have to wear a hat? Wear a cowboy hat? I got two.
You wear a cowboy hat. I feel like cowboy hats.
I could do that.
They're appropriate.
I could do that.
Some of the trainers have cowboy hats on. I mean, they're training horses, Schlegs. It's
no doubt.
like, I mean, it's the sport of kings, yes, but the people that are training them and working with them, I mean, dude, they're cowboys. Like they're training the horses. So
I would go one time with you, Bob. That's it. That's all.
Well, let's see.
I don't think Steph would be about that life.
Why not?
She just wants to go to Jamaica. No, Steph, listen, man. Like you got to know what you like, right? Like my wife loves to go on vacation. She loves to go on vacay, and I like to go on vacay.
See, here's the thing.
But I don't.
I don't like to go anywhere for a long time. So going someplace for like going to like Derby for 3 days is perfect. I'm not flying. That's too much work to go for 3 or 4 days.
It is a lot of, no, it's not.
Yes, it is. Going through customs and dealing with all that nonsense and flying that far.
I just don't bring it. I bring a carry-on. Man, I just roll this stuff.
I understand that.
Like,
but you still got to go through customs and it's deal with the flights. And so you fly all the time now. So you know.
Guys, I know. It's not even bad for me. I'm just like, boom, charges to winter. I got my own routine, man. I go into a bebop in there, pre-check, boom, right? And I don't carry stuff on. And I always get a water right when I get there. And if I haven't eaten, I'll get some egg white bites. I'll get like 4 of those. I'll pound those before my flight. That way people aren't watching me eat in my seat. And Poop David Copperfield, I go do work on there. Mostly I pass out and listen to country music or praise and worship music. That's it. I'm out, snoring, disgusting, but
there
whatever.
You go. It's great sleep. It's great sleep. That's why I always like flying.
What are we doing?
What?
I love our chat room, by the way.
Oh, it's getting wild. Chat room's getting wild right now. Attention parents and athletes. Protect what matters most with Export mouth guards. Trusted by professional athletes, designed by NHL team Dennis.
Yes.
Export mouth guards are scientifically tested to absorb those high-impact hits, protecting both your teeth and your brain. Export mouth guards feature 3 layers of advanced protection, including a patented use of carbon fiber that they 3D print that thing right into your grill for more protection, better performance, max comfort, and clear communication. So then you can focus on the game, not on the gear. Don't take chances with your safety. Visit exportguards.com/Bobby. Save 15% on your order. Export, protect what matters most. Shuggs, I was going to go through this. I mean, in case you want,
we got so many nuggets in there.
You got Journalism is the favorite in the Derby there right now. It's 7-2. I think that those odds, those are of last night. I think that they've changed a little bit. Because there's been a couple horses. There was one I think that was pulled this morning, and some different. But the favorites there, Sandman sitting at 5-1, which I know that you love the Sandman name. Citizen Bull.
Enter Sandman.
Citizen Bull, I believe, is a Baffert horse that's sitting right there at the pole position at gate 1. So fun time, fastest 2 minutes in sports. I want to ask you this, Schlegs. I'll save this for later in the show because
Okay.
you're big into training humans and training any mammal. I think there's similarities with that. But we have an Ohio State squad that was able to win a national title. I don't want to dwell on that anymore. But Ryan is coming out and talked a little bit about some of the things that went on and some of the different stuff that has been said about his team. He had his big press conference and broke some of that down. And so we're going to listen to his thoughts that he dropped out here earlier this week about that $20 million roster, because now Texas is reporting on 35, 40, and what all that looks like. Stay tuned. Stay locked in here on the Bobby Carpenter Show. All right, Ryan Day sat down, did some media availability on Tuesday at noon, talked a lot about this. And this was one of the lines that came out where he was talking about CBS Sports about the team, the best players that money can buy. What does that look like? Everybody's got NIL. Everybody spent a lot. You could argue that Texas or Oregon maybe spent as much or more than Ohio State. You still have to go out there and ultimately win it.
They did. They were like four. We were like fourth. It was out there. Sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
No, it's good. So, Pat, why don't we pull that up? We'll listen to Ryan, then we'll let you respond. Click it over.
Say that, and just because it's easy and it's cheap. But when you really do your research and you look through it, like all of these guys had been here multiple years. You just look at the front. You look at JT and Jack and Tyleek and Cody Simon and Lathan Ransom and Denzel Burke and Emeka Buka. You start going through, sure, Quinshawn and Will were big additions for us, but Travion has been here since his freshman year. When Coach Saban retired and we had an opportunity to pick up Caleb and then Julian and Seth McLaughlin, like that kind of happened opportunistically. I think it's just easy for people just to kind of say that.
And I think there was more. Was there another deal on that, Pat? Because
you scroll over, then he went into the mentality. He went into the mentality to win it. And you want to keep listening?
Yeah, and let's listen, because that was then with the mentality of what it took and being remembered and what this team will look like in the future.
Struggled a little bit before he got here, with the snaps and things like that, and he won the Remington Award here. I'm pretty defensive of that because these guys who came through here and have scars. I mean, you don't always remember the wins until you win championships. You remember the losses around here. And these guys have some scars along the way, and that's what kept them together throughout the entire road. And so, I never really got into that or addressed that. But, our guys hear that over and over again, and people around the building with these high expectations, and we're just throwing out numbers like that. But that really didn't affect us in the end because we knew that wasn't the case. It wasn't like we just had the best players money could buy, if anyone actually did the research. By the way.
Yeah. And so go ahead, Slikes.
So here's what I'm going to say. And this is a testament, right? So, and I'm going to bring up the point of the Texas thing, because we better hear all this same stuff that we heard the entire season last year. I want it to be said this time. All right. So you look at all the guys, they were developed at Ohio State. Cody Simon, 5-year guy, started 1 year. Sonny Styles, 3rd-year guy, right? JT, Jack, Tyleek, Ty Hill, all been here. Trevion, okay, Will Howard, 61% completion, now at 73, significantly more accurate than he got when he left and when he got here. Q, better. Caleb, already elite, fit in this system, used him, utilized him. But why? Because Jordan Hancock had been developed here and was able to find that other piece to allow Caleb. You can't have Caleb do what he did without Jordan being able to do what he did. Am I correct, Bob?
Yeah.
So developed here. Then you had Seth, where everybody was giving him trash at Alabama, comes here and competes, man. And like Carson, you go back, he said it on this podcast, Bob. Carson was whooping him. And he had to figure it out and won the freaking Remington Award the first year he's here at Ohio State. Guys, it wasn't like the best roster money could buy. It was the best development. And our money was spent on guys that had been developed here to keep them here. And it actually boded well, because if they would have left and went to the draft they would have been the same round of draft pick that they already were, give or take. But they made another year, they made memories, and they won a national championship at Ohio State. And that's probably going to be the blueprint moving forward. Pat, throw up that Texas thing, okay, that I highlighted in there. Now, guys, now we're talking last year, best roster. And again, that slap Jake from freaking Michigan. What's his name? The Howard dude.
Desmond Howard.
Yeah, exactly. That guy, right? Talking $20 million money can buy. Like the reason you can't spend your NIL dollars is nobody wants to go to freaking Tola Bowl of Ann Arbor. I'm just saying. Okay, bad color combo. They're talking 35, 40 million. All right. So that I hope that they just talk about that to ad nauseum game one. Look at this. They're spending 35, 40 million, getting beat by the 20 million team. Again, it's all stupid. What needs to happen is there needs to be a freaking salary cap. There needs to be a college football players association. There needs to be one governing body over all of college football. There needs to be one freaking portal, right? Like, guys, there needs to be guys when you come in as a freshman, you're there for 2 years and then you can go. Like, it's so freaking simple. It's stupid, but there's no adults, there's no whiteboards, and there's no
Well, the
monsters
thing
to be
is,
had.
now you've got to handle it in the court, and that's all that stuff because it got to this point. Was there sound that was along with that, Pat, about the $20 million or the $35 million roster? Because I thought that there was, but maybe there wasn't.
They also said it's coming from the revenue sharing
Oh, yeah,
allotment.
because that's the thing. Now the one thing, Shikes, you have this is kind of the first funky year where you have the revenue sharing and the NIL from like the collectives. After this year, the collectives, like it's only supposed to be what true NIL. They're gonna have Deloitte. They're gonna be the like kind of clearinghouse for the sniff test on what these endorsement deals look like. If they're over $600, then they have to be passed, and if they don't pass the smell test with that, then they're supposed to not be able to do them and all this other stuff. So that's ultimately what's going to happen here. But this is the first year because they've got that influx where you can spend up to $20 million or 22 or whatever it is with all that. And so they've got the ability to do it. But like Ryan goes back to saying, like if money's the first thing that you're worried about, then that's going to be the first thing you should worry about when you're leaving too. And so that shouldn't be why you're leaning into this.
Yeah. There just has to be a standard. And again, I go back to this. There is a false narrative about Ohio State, money can buy. And again, I go back to this. And Ryan said this in this interview. Ohio State football in 2024 shows something to the state of Ohio. And again, let's not take this out of lightly. I talk to my own children about, hey, listen, man, like baseball is a game of failure. Like batting 300, that means you failed 7 times, right? But like look at Ohio, man. Look at Ohio State. These guys face adversity. They had a loss on the road. Good on good, man. It happens. You had a terrible loss for a rival. Then what did you do? How do you respond? These guys responded. Also, I think it was like that beginning part of like going back and focusing on what you need to focus on. Keep the main thing the main thing. The main thing was let it rip. And that's both coaches and players. That came from that meeting. And there were times where we see tentativeness from coaches that also goes to tentativeness to players. It's a top-down effect. That was eliminated in the playoff. And guess what happened? You won a national championship in 2024. So a lot of great lessons, not only for them personally, but also for the state. I look at it, utilize it to tell your kids. But my biggest thing moving forward is, and that false narrative was because everybody thought that they weren't doing the same thing, and they wanted to downplay what Ohio State did as a program through the relationship, through the development, that's why they could be having this success. And they just said, oh, it's all because of the dollars. And that is false. And a lot of that came from Desmond the douchebag. So,
Easy.
I know I'm just articulating what they said. That was Steele. That was Steele 79. I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. He did.
That's fine. But let's keep it clean, Shikes.
I keep it clean. Well, I'm just saying, I'm just articulating. Okay. I don't get bad takes here, Bob. I try to keep it very, very clean. And it's clean like this. Adults in the room from the NCAA have failed college football immensely.
Yeah, but okay, so here's the thing.
Been done for a long time.
So how are you going to fix it? Like, what is we're rehashing everything going forward. They're not going to probably put in a salary cap unless there's some sort of, they agree to the players or employees, which they've been just vehemently against. They're going to have this house settlement, so this is what they're going to operate on moving forward. And so, as we've articulated here, relationships are going to be more important than ever before. Now, the development of players is still going to be important because you're never just going to pull a whole portal transfer portal team, at least not most places. Now, Deion may have a different sentiment with that, but Deion Sanders doesn't necessarily believe that college football is the place for development anymore. We'll dive into that and see it.
Go to that next.
Disagree with that? We're going to go to
that.
Yeah,
I do, 100%.
We're going to get into that and see what all that looks like. But first, I want to tell you about development of a new product line for fan gear. Our friends over at Backer, BCKR.com. Go check them out. Premium Buckeye brand for their hats, their coats. Wore the coat last night. Raincoat to one of my son's soccer games. It was absolutely tremendous. They're founded to make better quality fan gear. So if you've ever been hunting, fishing, skiing, golfing, whatever it is out there, you experience that high quality gear and say, how can we get this branded with our team? Well, Backer is the answer. BCKR.com. It may cost a little more. It's got a premium price for a premium product, more features. It's going to last longer, and it looks great and feels fantastic, whether it's indoor or for cold gear, rain gear, whatever it might be. And here's the thing. You got Mother's Day coming up. We got Father's Day in about a month and change. Birthdays, graduations. It's good for all of it. So use promo code Bobby, BOBBY, all caps, and for free expedited shipping. Again, that's backer.com, BCKR.com. And when you purchase something there, a portion of that percentage goes back to those athlete legs that we've been talking about. Is development dead in college football? Find out next. All right, Schleiks, we want to toss this up here. Deion Sanders sitting down with my guy, Adam Brenneman, talking a little bit about what college football looks like, how the landscape has changed. The alley's changed, Schleiks. You have the same old house cat cruising on in there anymore. There's a lot of different stuff. And let's listen to what Deion said, who took his team to 8-4. They're on the cusp of playing the Big 12 championship with a CFP berth on the line. What's Deion saying about it?
Development is dead in college football. It's an interesting take. You have to win in year one right now. There's no time to wait a few years to build a winning program. And what's that mean? When there's a 12-team playoff, missing the playoff is no longer acceptable for the top-tier teams. When you missed the 4-team playoff, it wasn't a huge deal. Now you missed the 12-team playoff, it's not acceptable. So that means you got to win right away. You got to win now, and the pressure is higher than ever. So what do? You recruit players from the transfer portal who are ready to play right away. We're seeing schools like Colorado that sign 25 players, take 15 from the portal, 10 from high school. Some places that's 17 and 8. Those numbers skew even more to the transfer portal at a bunch of group of 5 programs that are trying to find really good players to play right away. You have to win now. Focusing way more on talent acquisition than they are talent development, because you don't have 4 years to develop the offensive tackle who's 270 pounds anymore. You may not even be there in 4 years by the time that guy plays. It's about getting guys that can play right away via talent acquisition. Deion Sanders just basically said development is.
I push back on that, because if you don't have players to play, that's true. You need players to play right now, but you want to be able to bring those players in behind them and have those guys ready to go and have them ready to step up. And that's what Ohio State's done. And a lot of the good programs, Georgia's been the same. Clemson didn't take any portal guys for a while. Now they're taking a little bit. Bama has been in that boat. But if you have a position that didn't get developed, you had a guy who left because he didn't want to sit it all, that's one thing. But you got to recruit the best players out of high school at these elite programs, and you develop them and you inundate them with your culture. And so that helps you sustain through some of those hard and rocky times, Schleiks.
Yeah, and I would say this too. Like, first off, what is the value proposition? And I've said this at nauseam. I remember when I took over the head strength job at Jacksonville, I was like, my value prop to all players is I'm here to maximize your value and extend your career, whether you're a practice squad guy or a year 10 guy. Practice squad, how do we get on the roster, right? Year 3 guy, how do we get to that second contract? Year 10 guy, how do I get to the third or fourth one, right? And so everything I do is about you. And if you leave and you're a free agent, you go somewhere. Again, my job is to make sure that you can go there and be productive. And that's how you've had to change this landscape as like your mindset to the players. When I got him, I'm going to develop him to his max capacity. And guess what? If he leaves for whatever reason, no hard feelings. I know that I've done my job and I've spilt it. I tried to develop a relationship with that athlete to give him everything that he possibly needed. And if he goes on to have success somewhere else, good. I did my job. If he has success here, good. I've done my job. But that has to be the mindset shift. And guess what? That's why kids are staying, because, oh my goodness, I'm getting developed here. They care about me. I have a relationship with my coaches and the support staff. I love my head coach. I love the locker room. And they stay. You can build it, but you have to be selective in how you build it. And it is time intensive, because love is spelled with time. So yes, it is false. You can acquire guys for whole. You can't do it. Exactly. I actually brought up a Waterboy reference last night at a baseball game, and now you just brought that up. That's amazing. But that being said, development is not dead in college football. It cannot be dead in college football, because ultimately you will have a lesser product in the NFL if it becomes so.
Yeah, it's those development is dead.
Think about why that draft was so dense and girthy, Bob. Development's only dead in programs that aren't able to recruit and they aren't able to develop. And so if you can win in year one. Now, yeah, when you go someplace, you may have some issues and you may have to bring in some portal guys, but find out who's good on the roster, who's worth investing in, recruit the heck out of high school, and then keep those guys there and develop them while they're sitting behind the guys. And so then you can get those waves of coming through. And the portal should only be for patches. It shouldn't be for full rebuild, Schlegs. And that's the problem that people ultimately have. If they try to use portaling for full rebuilds, the sustainability, and we'll see it, whether it's Indiana or Colorado, and see kind of how that looks. These teams that were heavy in the portal, their sustainability, and are they able to keep it going? All right. Next, we got some headlines here, Schlegs. J.J. Smith, it was funny. He had an inauspicious start at Ohio State. Yeah, man.
And it turned around for him in a big way. Find out what that was next in headlines, the Bobby Carpenter Show. All right, welcome into Headlines, brought to you by our friends over at Lake Spur Marketing. Lake Spur, they're a full-service ad agency built on trust, strategy, and performance. They do it all for you, folks. Full service. The Lake Spur team shields you and your team from the outside noise, the cold calls, all the stuff you don't want to do. They let you work on the business, because you can't work in the business and on the business at the same time. They take care of that for you. So just go run it. With over 100 years of marketing experience, Lake Spur, they eliminate the waste. They deliver on budget. They don't chase clicks. They build partnerships. Lake Spur Marketing, the proof is in the partners. All right, like sometimes guys get off to a fast start in college and it works out well. Sometimes you get off to a slow start and it's not indicative of how it's going to be. Well, J.J. Smith, you want to throw that up there. And I don't know if people remember this or not. I remember it happening in the game and thinking, oh, wow, like this is a little bumpy. This is kind of interesting to see where it goes. But JJ opens up. He's 100 overall rating. With what
potentially rumored that he can be.
It's been rumored.
A triple digit.
First 100 overall rating on college football in the game. And so we've talked to Lathan about that, which, by the way, I think Lathan's going to come on with us on Monday. I was talking to him about it. He asked me about it, so I'm sure he's excited to talk about his whole draft experience. So he might be the first 100 overall player rumored in EA Sports College Football. Now, when it started for him, Schlegs, do you remember his first play?
Yeah, I do, but why don't you articulate it to everybody?
Why don't we throw it up there? So JJ, everyone's can't wait to see him. Ryan was trying to get him a ball all last year in the spring on TV. They're talking about it. Let's see, throw him a fade.
The bad thing was practicing, they had all the videos of all that. So in the spring game when he got here, it's like, let's replicate that. Let's get him a little frothy,
Yeah. I don't, and then make sure we get, okay. So we got to go to the next one here,
No,
Pat.
it's the next one that's at the top. It's under Bill and the Lady Friend in 2000.
Oh,
It's under
yes,
that one. It's under
absolutely.
that one.
But JJ started out, we'll have to teach Pat what the word inauspicious means. Auspicious is of good omen. So inauspicious. Oh, wait. Well, we've got stuff that can't get pulled up there. Anyway, JJ
What do
Smith
you
started
mean?
up. He started, well, because you probably, I don't know. Who knows what
No,
happened.
I put the Doomajig on the Doomajig.
Yep. But he started off his the first play. He had his first target was a drop last year.
Yeah, it was.
Dropped it. Now he went on to have over 1,200 yards, I think over 70 or 80 catches, all these touchdowns and everything. But people always look at this like, first play wasn't the way that was going to go to, and it was wild strikes because people were maybe a little worried, like, oh, was this guy what he was supposed to be? And then subsequent plays, all of a sudden he lights it up and gets it rolling.
Yeah, so listen, he's the only wide receiver to record a season with 100 targets, 1,200 yards receiving, and one or fewer drops since at least 2014. Because that was kind of the start of the college football playoff era. And like we talk again, Trevion Henderson, no fumbles. Now, that means fumbles lost. I believe the ball was on the ground 2 times in an entire career. Never lost a fumble. So you go back and I look at this stuff, man. It's like, why, when you watch these guys, even in practice, the fundamentals, I just enjoy watching him practice. I enjoyed watching Trey practice, but like the fundamentals of what they do, it all matters. And like, that's how you carry it to the field anyway. That's an impressive stat.
It's a very, very impressive stat. And I mean,
think about the one-handed catches he got. Like that would have been a drop, but he just caught him.
He's been overly impressive, and that's why he might be that first 100. And you know what? Like I said, it didn't start the way that he wanted to, but he kept grinding, kept working on it. Also, I saw this come up too. We talked a lot about Bill Belichick, Schlegs, and everything that he's been about. Let's pull that up, Pat, about Bill Belichick right there at the top. Bill Belichick won his first Super Bowl in 2001. His friend Jordan Hudson, lady friend, there was a post that went out from our guy Antonio Brown, who we might have to try to get on the show, Schlegs.
Dude, he would be amazing.
That was them celebrating back in 2000, I think, when he got the job. And he also got awarded Cracker of the Day by our guy Antonio Brown. AB's wild, dude. I think we should have him on. Schlegs, if I can get Antonio Brown on, would you be all for that?
Yeah, 100% I would be. I don't even know what we would talk about. I'd let him steer the ship. What do
you let him steer the ship? Listen,
yeah,
I don't know if we let him steer the ship. I'd let him ride on the ship. And I want people to.
You steer the ship, and we could just banter back and forth. It'd be amazing.
Oh, you ask him some questions. Well, but that's Bill and Jordan celebrating him getting the Patriots.
3 times 3. Listen.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Oh, on Bill and his lady friend?
Yeah.
It's a cute picture, man. Look at Bill just smiling there, just gazing, just a glimmer in his eye of what could be 25 years down the road.
Absolutely. A little bit crazy, a little bit creepy. It's a big time Friday here. And that's it for today's headlines. We've got some tailgate talk that's going to be coming up. We'll answer your questions. There was a question that came in earlier that was pretty good, and we'll get to that. But there's also get some other ones in there, folks. The questions you have, we're going to answer them coming up next in Tailgate Talk, brought to you by Real Truck here on the Bobby Carpenter Show. All right, welcome back into the Bobby Carpenter Show. And we had a question that was coming up earlier. I believe, where was it? It was from Robert up near the top. Robert Howard threw this out here. Pat, if we can throw it up about, is anyone else just a little nervous that Matt P., and I don't know why you'd be throwing in Bill Belichick, I guess if you're a Tar Heels fan, have been, quote, kicking it for the last year?
Is this question referring to me? Like, why would I be worried about that? No, because
is anyone else? I didn't say are you. He said is anyone?
Oh yeah.
else?
Well, I wouldn't be worried about it because like normally when coaches get together when you're fired, like you're just talking shop. It's not like, hey, you go to this school, I'll go to this school, we'll collaborate, and then we're just gonna like figure. No, man. Like you're just you're just working on ball. Like you're just talking about like what do they do in college? What is the makeup of offenses in college? Like that's what you do. You know, what did I call that? Some development. I don't know, professional development. That's what it is. It's not, honestly, do you really want to hang out with Bill Belichick? Could you imagine like that kind of like
what does that have to do? Like I said, it's just hanging out for a year. Like Matty P, like I'm not worried about Bill Belichick. I'm more worried like with people's perception of Matt Patricia, which they were studying and putting together stuff. Like coaches will sit down and they'll just watch all these different game tapes to try to study the college game and see what people are ultimately doing and the differences between college and the NFL, because there are quite a few of how the game is ultimately played. And so Matt
100%.
Patricia was working on that, grinding through that. And that's why the players, integrating the system, Tim, James, Guerreri, Larry, all the guys, like they had a great plan coming in, I think, because there was a lot of time that was spent on the front end, ultimately getting that done. Not the fact that Bill was chilling for a year. Schlegs, we're focusing on the wrong part of that question.
Yeah, no, I'm good, man. I feel great with Matt P. And why I feel great with it? Because when the dudes are excited about the defense and the lack of gray in it, and they know how to check and they're communicating fast, I know they're already highly athletic. They're going to be fine. And I'm just excited to see the defense mature as our guys mature and grasp it and communicate. And I'm excited to see it, man.
One of the other things from Steely Madden here, if we can throw this up, Pat, said Chris Carter around the receivers is going to be awesome. And do you know like what I haven't heard exactly or really much of that? Like he wasn't really around in the spring.
No.
I didn't know that he was necessarily going to be around much this year. Did you hear anything about that or a further explanation on what that might imply?
No, I mean, like Chris Carter was at the facility, but he is also, I believe, kind of like the player development guy that's at Florida Atlantic.
Yeah.
So like he's not coming. Devin Jordan is the assistant wide receiver coach. Brian Hartline is the offensive coordinator. I don't necessarily see him here right now. I'm not heard of him joining the staff in any capacity. He was just here, and Ohio State does what Ohio State does and rolled out the red carpet for him because he's a former Buckeye. And they do that, just so you know, they do that for all the guys, man. Like, all guys have access should they want it. You cannot have been a douchebag. That's kind of fair, right? Like, why are you there? How are you continuing to add value, right? Bob, you add value all the time. There's a lot of guys like you that are in and around the building. Maurice Clarett, same thing. They're adding value. But back to Chris Carter, I believe he's at Florida Atlantic, and he was here visiting, and he is not on staff at this moment.
Buckeyes, which I believe you're right in saying that. So when I saw that in there, I was just a little confused, wanted to make sure that I didn't miss something there. And thank you for clearing that up for everybody, Schlegs.
Sure.
Coming up next, we're going to wrap up the show, put a little bow on our tailgate after the tailgate talk here, and put a bow on it with our dude of the week, Schlegs, and finish up a conversation that started earlier in the week and see your thoughts. I got one more twist on it for you, Schlegs. That's coming up next on the Bobby Carpenter Show. Oh, we got a couple more questions, Schlegs, that I want to
I love questions. Go get them.
Terry Slusher asked, said, Bob, was that you in the red car that missed the 71 exit on Wednesday? Schlegs, I don't know if you saw this. You were probably already gone. There's someone that missed the exit off 71, I think, going to 670.
Shut up. That was in Columbus where they had that huge accident, like right in the middle?
Yeah, because the person just stopped in the middle of the road. And
who did Sam did? I thought that was
that person just drove away. I honestly wish that person would have got hit by a semi. I don't wish them to die, but I wish that they would not be able to drive a car anymore because that's a danger to everyone around the road. If you do not know how to drive, and if you miss an exit, you miss the stinking exit. Go back up to the
Oh
next.
my
turn right,
gosh, that
figure it
was
out.
in Columbus.
Yeah, it's terrible. That's
So bad.
a travesty.
Now I'm
Honestly,
kind
I
of
would get out
embarrassed.
and I'd kneecap that person with a pipe, and you're no longer able to drive a car because what you did was endanger the lives of everyone else. You want to kill yourself in a car, you go right ahead. The people in there with you, well, I'm sorry for them. That's up to them getting in with you, and as long as they're not kids. But my goodness, like
I don't
what,
understand
you
how
came to a
you
dead
would,
stop on an interstate in the
but
middle
like
of that.
how the audacity to think that you're so valuable or your time is so valuable. You're the one that missed the exit.
So like,
I
I
miss
just don't
exit
think
all
people
the
know
time.
how to. We don't know how to operate in society now. Like
Like, no, just go past the next one, make a U-turn. It was on
nobody's
you.
paying attention. They don't know what to do. Like, what are we doing? We rely
Oh
completely
my
on
gosh, I stopped break.
because they
Like,
rely
what?
completely on their devices to tell them where to go instead of like, hey, why don't you look at it beforehand, how to map it out? Oh, we're gonna
Oh
have to
my
take
gosh, you
71.
guys remember? You guys remember? I used to have an atlas in my truck
Dude, I would
of the
take an
United
Atlas. My
States.
wife and I, we would play the Atlas game. We drive from Dallas to Columbus, and that's how I learned all the state capitals and what states were the biggest, landmass, state mottos. New Mexico is the land of enchantment. Why do I know that? Because I read the stinking Atlas. Okay, I mean that's what we had. There's another. Oh, there's a lot of questions too asking about who's going to replace Lathan next year on the show. I'm still working on that. We got like all summer to figure that out. I've got to talk to some guys and see who's willing and who I think would be good to do it. We've talked to Lathan a little bit about that. Might be an offensive guy this year. I don't know. There's some people I think that would be good. And it's a function of do they want to do it and are they comfortable doing it. And Lathan, you need a veteran guy to be able to do that. And the reality is it's a pretty young team. Ultimately as well. But we got our dude of the week, Schlegs. So let's throw up our dude of the
Who's
week there.
yours?
Mine's John Gruden.
Yeah. Well, it's both of ours. Because why do you
Oh.
like him? You like him because he rooted for the gorilla.
He's rooting for the gorilla, Schlegs. I mean, I'm
And
not against it.
I'm not against it either, Bob. But like, I mean, root.
By the way,
root for
you didn't
gorilla
put in
as long as
you didn't put in the chat what I told you to that a gorilla has over 1,300 psi of bite force,
no,
greater
I
than
know.
a
I
lion.
shared that. I
You
thought
did.
I was the one.
Greater
no,
than a lion. Greater than
Bro.
a lion, Schlegs.
bro. I mean, like, so again. All right, now you're
Greater
going
than a
into like
lion.
he's
He'll bite
like
your head off.
he has teeth. I don't have honestly. I still think as long as there's some ingenuity, like we have shirts. I think. I mean, you could. We're gonna snare.
You
We're
can
gonna
gouge
do
its
something.
eyes. Like
You
you
got
can
100
get
of
it
them.
done. It's going to take a loss of life. And so here's the thing. This is what I wanted to get to. John Gruden, do the week, rooting for the gorilla. You have to figure out what the why is for the people that are there. Because it's got to be an Ohio State culture situation. If you're showing up because I'm paying you to fight the gorilla, then the first sign of danger, Schlegs, the mercenary army, when you watch the guy in front of you get dismembered and disemboweled while he's still alive, that's going to be rough. But if you're there because of the love of your brother and you realize the guy that just got slain was in front of you is your brother and you're going to go do your job because the guy's behind you, well, there it is. The great soldier fights not because he hates what's in front of him, Schlegs, but because he loves what's behind him. Go Bucks.
Go Bucks. Have a great week, everybody.
Have a great week. We'll talk to you on Monday, hopefully with Lathan Ransom. That's it for this week of the Bobby Carpenter Show.